CBO stands for Community-Based Organization. It's an umbrella term that covers nonprofit organizations that provide services to vulnerable people and people in crisis. There are a couple hundred CBOs in Saskatchewan. Here's just a sample of what Saskatchewan CBOs provide. Residential accommodations for people with physical disabilities. Work opportunities for people living with intellectual disabilities. Programs to help immigrants and refugees get settled and enter the job market. Childcare to disadvantaged families. Outreach to persons experiencing homelessness. Programs to help people recover from addiction. And programs to keep people out of court and out of jail. CBOs get their funding in a variety of ways. Most of them are registered as charities, and many of them run fundraising campaigns and events where they ask for public donations and corporate sponsorships. But by far the biggest source of their funding is grants from the Saskatchewan government. In particular, the Ministry of Social Services, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Justice, and the Ministry of Education. The typical CBO gets at least 85% of its revenue from government grants. Some CBOs have been around in Saskatchewan for over 100 years, others less than 10, but the typical CBO has been in operation for at least 40 years. In other words, they are organizations with deep roots in this province and a deep understanding of their clients' needs. CBOs face many pressures and challenges that can get in the way of their valuable work. The biggest challenge is how to attract and keep their staff, the people who deliver the CBOs programs. Let's face it, CBOs are about people helping people. CBO workers provide frontline services to individuals and families who are vulnerable, marginalized, in crisis. This is emotionally demanding work. It can't be done by machines or apps. It takes people, caring people, skilled people, experienced people. As mentioned earlier, the typical CBO gets at least 85% of its budget from government grants. In the vast majority of cases, that CBO has to reapply for those grants every year with no guarantee that the government will grant the same amount. This makes it very hard for the CBO to do any long-term planning. It makes it hard for them to offer the kind of wages, benefits, and job security needed to attract and keep their best workers. Instead of focusing on serving their clients' needs, these CBOs are compelled to spend time filling out forms and pressing the government for funds. Is there a better way to fund CBOs? Is there an alternative to the uncertainty and distraction of having to reapply for funding every year? Yes. It's called multi-year funding agreements. This means that the province signs a binding contract with the CBO to provide funding for 2 years or more. This is not some crazy new idea. Multi-year CBO funding agreements have been used extensively in Manitoba. In fact, from 2011 to 2016, the Manitoba government signed multi-year funding agreements with over 100 CBOs. In her research on this, Professor Shauna McKinnon of the University of Winnipeg found that multi-year funding agreements are a win-win-win. They're a win for CBO employers, who have fewer worries about how to keep their workers and maintain their level of services. They are actually able to do long-term planning and try new things. They are a win for CBO employees, who can focus fully on their clients and worry less about wages and job security. And finally, multi-year funding for CBOs is a win for CBO clients because they are served by a consistent group of well-trained and experienced caregivers.